Absolutely.
I can already tell this is going to be a great interview. We're going to be joined.
We're not going to be able to say
shortly.
anything today. I have a funny feeling.
Well, people don't want to hear from us. They want to hear from our guests.
That's
so
right,
all the
exactly.
better. We're going to be joined very shortly by Shannon Tinsley. She's the owner of Sweet Nana Cakes, a fantastic local business here. So we're going to be just chatting with her and learning about this great company here in our local area. In the valley, and so we're just going to be very shortly, and then later on in the show, Xavier and I will talk a little bit of economics. We'll give you our little finance segment on some of the numbers.
Our views,
coming out,
exactly, our views on that, absolutely.
On GDP today and a couple other data points that we can talk about, and then we'll share some news on Vanguard Award from the Charlottesville Chamber of Commerce, and then. Just see where it goes.
See where it goes from there, absolutely. There's a lot to talk about today.
Today.
But this is going to be a lot of fun talking about Nana cakes.
It is. It's going to be a blast.
Like I said, anything that says sweet on it's got to be good.
I think we've been having a lot of sweet lately, which is good.
I think so,
sweet
yeah.
is good.
I guess it's like Cuban heritage, right? It's like they got to keep the old guy happy. Just throw sweet sugar at him, and we're good to go.
Throw some sweets and some sugar at him, and we'll be in good shape.
It's like your café con leche. It's more like café con azúcar sometimes.
I always say coffee is a vehicle for sugar.
Here you are.
That's what it is.
Azúcar con café.
Azúcar con café. So be sure to get ready, like and share. Send us any questions, comments you have, and we will be getting started shortly. Grab your café con leche.
Yeah, absolutely.
And get into your favorite spot to watch and listen to Today y Mañana.
Great.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Xavier. We're very excited to have you joining us this morning on a very bright and sunny, soon to be very hot morning here in Charlottesville, Virginia. Just love being here. We hope you can get into your cozy spot, you grab your café con leche, and join us. And as we're going to be interviewing shortly, we're going to be joined by Shannon Tinsley. She is the owner of Sweet Nana Cakes, a fantastic local business in the valley, just right over the mountain here. And Xavier and I will talk a little later on in the show on the finance topic.
Exciting news.
Our finance topic, some news regarding GDP, some other numbers that we're seeing out there, just to sort of keep everyone updated on what we're thinking and any suggestions that we have for navigating
thoughts, suggestions,
this economic
ideas,
environment. Exactly.
Perception.
Exactly. So, of course, we always love being here on the I Love Seville Network set with Judah behind the camera. We are presented by Emergent Financial Services, and we are powered by our friends at the Gym Seville, by Castle Hill Cider, by Aqua Seville Hand Car Wash, our friends Miguel and Chit at Craddock Sirius Insurance, Johan Torres over at GBS Financial Services, and we are always with Forward Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So, a lot to cover today, but I'm very excited for it. I don't know about you, but
I'm ready to go.
Ready to get started.
Like I said, anything that says sweet and then cakes at the end, it's got to be good.
Exactly. You are good to go with that.
That's right.
So, all right, we are very excited to welcome to the show this morning Shannon Tinsley. She is the owner of Sweet Nana Cakes. Shannon, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for
Welcome.
having me this morning. Thank you.
No,
It's a beautiful drive over this morning.
Oh, I can imagine. That's fantastic. I really appreciate it.
I can say I don't miss that drive as I
I
used to work over here.
I can imagine. But better on a day like this than on either on a snowy day
or
or
a relaxing, peaceful drive.
Yeah,
Exactly. So, I mean, Shannon, for those who aren't familiar with you or haven't heard of Sweet Nana Cakes before, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started it.
Yeah, so actually I grew up in a small town in Highland County, Virginia, which is west of here. It's the furthest western county in Virginia, known for the Maple Festival. And I grew up there. We lived an hour from the grocery store. We lived an hour from civilization, really.
Wow.
So we learned to, make things with what we had. We only went to the store once a month. So I learned to bake and cook from my parents. My dad actually made the best chocolate cake and the seafoam
that
icing.
sounds
So
good.
I learned that baking was a gift of love. You know, we baked things for people for gifts and things like that. I did that a lot growing up. I baked things for people that I cared about. Ended up baking wedding cakes for friends and family.
Wow.
And so that's how I started out doing that. And then it just became something that I loved and turned it into a business.
So how old were you when you first started baking?
I did it in high school. I made
Okay.
some gag cakes that ended up in our yearbook, which my best friend, since I was 5, we just celebrated our 50th birthday together, snuck a picture in because she was the yearbook editor, so it probably shouldn't have been in the yearbook. Yeah. So probably 15 was when I started
Okay.
doing cakes that actually could be given to people. 18 was my first wedding cake, I think.
Wow.
And then got into sales, actually, and advertising, so kind of put it on the back burner.
Okay.
And then did it for friends and family, but didn't really pursue it as a passion until about 2002.
Okay. That's when you started the company.
Yes, so
Okay.
the company started as an in-home approved business, and then 2006 we started a brick and mortar.
Okay.
Oh, fantastic. I already have a fan here. Kelly Levin, Honey Touch says, amazing food.
Oh, I love that. I love
Thank
that.
you, Kelly,
Thank
for
you.
watching this morning.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
chocolate cake sounded delicious.
Yeah.
I'm a chocolate cake fan.
Yes,
So.
so we are a full-service bakery. So we do, a lot of people think we just do cupcakes, but we do everything. Cakes, pies, cupcakes, scones, muffins. We make everything from scratch. A lot of people don't understand that, but we do not use a mix for anything at all. My daughter sometimes goes to the grocery store with me and tries to throw like a brownie mix in my buggy, and I'm like, you cannot do that. Like, people know who I am. Like, please do not do that. You know what I mean? We have a name to uphold. We can't be doing that stuff. You're going to ruin my reputation here. So, yeah, so we take pride in that fact that we make everything from scratch. We make our own Danish dough. We have Danishes now. And, you know, that lamination of dough and stuff takes a long time. We
does,
make our
yeah.
own cinnamon roll
Exactly,
dough.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do all
So,
that.
so you have both items that people, if they walk in, they can find
We do,
there,
and then we do
also you do
special
some
orders.
custom
Exactly,
orders.
yep. So we have a full service, full case, cases that people can walk in and buy things from every day. We also added a coffee bar.
Oh.
And we just released that we're going to be adding waffles and ice cream. We like to
Oh.
do fun things.
Nice.
So we're pairing with a local creamery in the valley. We like to promote other small businesses.
Of course. Yeah.
And in this economic time, we feel like we can support each other. And
Yeah, that's
I just had a
perfect.
call this morning of someone that wanted to order a cake, and we were booked, so I referred the cake shop down the road. Like, you know, we're competition, but we're all here to help each
Exactly,
other. You know?
absolutely.
There's enough business to go around.
There is. You know,
Exactly.
Walmart and, you know, Burger King and McDonald's are beside each other for a reason. You know what I mean? There's
Exactly.
enough business to go around. So
Absolutely.
we definitely try to share the love anytime we can.
Great perspective. I was speaking of showing love. You did even more. Wow, we done a lot of food. Crystal Rower Little says, love everything, especially the sugar cookies.
Oh,
Yum.
yeah. She's an amazing customer. We love her. We
Thanks.
just did her granddaughter's shower cookies. So.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Ah,
And
okay.
that's the good thing is we treat our customers, we like to say like they're our family. We usually know them. When they walk in the door, we talk to them. We try to make it like they're our family.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty. The beauty is to be able to connect with people, right?
Right.
And then as you connect with people, you talk with them, you have that conversation with them, and then all of a sudden, you know, that service that you have, the love that you have,
Right.
You know, in your passion, it comes out in what you make.
I think so too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It definitely does. Mark Bowen says Shannon is amazing, hardworking, passionate business person, and just a real good human.
Now, speaking of Mark, we started out in the radio business together.
Oh, really?
So
yes.
he was a DJ. His name was Mark the Shark Dixon. I remember that from years ago. And I was a traffic coordinator at the radio station, and we have been friends. He DJ'd my wedding. My husband and I have been married 15 years this year, but Mark DJ'd our wedding, and we have been friends for a long time. So he's an old friend. So I love that. That
That's
makes me so happy.
Fantastic.
That
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
fantastic. So I'm curious, what was it like taking the plunge from, because we've talked all the time about people who've taken their passions as something they were doing, they really loved,
Insanity.
and turning it into a business.
Insanity.
What was it like?
It's crazy. It's scary. You know, my husband, we sat down and talked about it. I was working over here at SNL Financial, actually. Actually, I left SNL. I was working for Charlottesville Press. And the Thomases were amazing people, but I was baking full-time and working full-time, and something had to give. And my husband was like, I love this, but, you know, you can't make a budget on dreams. You know what I mean? Like, we've got to see something on paper, what you think you can do. And he said, you know, this is hard to bank your life on it, your house, your all these things. So, you know, we talked about it, and he said, I agree, let's do it, but you're just going to have to go do it. We really can't just put all this up. And so I really started with $200 in my pocket and blood, sweat, and a whole lot of tears. And worked, you know, a lot of people don't understand what a small business owner does, but 60, 70 hours a week.
Exactly.
I've owned the business, a brick and mortar, 6 years, and I've had 6 Saturdays off in 6 years. So I just thought about that the other day, and that's one Saturday a year. And that's fine, I'm not complaining because I love it. And I might be a little control freak, I don't know. But it's my baby, and when I'm there, it's my love and it's my passion.
Exactly.
But I have really good people that work for me, and I'm trying to step back a little bit and let them do what they do. But I love it, and I love my customers, and I love to see them, and, you know, I love to be there, so it's hard to walk away.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens when you have that creativity, when you have that passion for something. Sometimes you can't give it away. You know, you just can't.
Right.
You can't
And
give
your
that.
name's on it.
Absolutely,
Right.
and that's the most important thing. I
Right.
mean,
and
you know,
you've given
you
up
have
you've sold your soul to the devil, so to speak, to make this happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those first couple of years were hard. I had really good people. My mom is a retired USDA inspector, so she came in and she knew everything clearly. So she helped me. She worked. She could run circles around my employees. She's a really hard-working woman. She was retired, so she helped me, and it was hard. Sometimes you didn't pay yourself so you could pay other people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't understand that you sacrifice those things. I think there's this idea that people have small businesses have a lot of money and it's a hobby.
They kind of just sit around and make their employees
and that's
do all
so
the
far
work.
from the truth, at least for me. This is my paycheck, and this is my mortgage payment,
Exactly.
and this is my life. And I take it seriously. And, you know, we all make mistakes. We're human, and we have bad days.
Sure,
And we get
absolutely.
sick, and we do all those things. But I've never called in sick. Maybe one time in 6 years. I take it very seriously because I love
Absolutely.
it.
It reminds me
Yeah.
when we were talking with Jeff from Opera Zero Hand Car Wash. You know, like
Exactly.
business owners, we're human beings. Like you
Just
said,
like everybody else.
Just like everyone, we make mistakes. But what you put in is that passion and all those behind the scenes things that people don't think about.
They don't see
Oh,
it.
it's a bakery. They bake. I said, well, yes,
Yeah.
but you also have to order the things you need to bake. You
Right.
have to do the accounting part. You have
Right.
to do all the behind the scenes. You have
Right.
to turn on the lights in the morning. You have to go and open the
Right.
shop. There's
You
so
have
much
to do
that
the
goes
payroll.
in.
You have to pay the taxes. You have to order the supplies. You have to go pick up the supplies. You have to, and it's, like I said, it's not complaining because I love it. And any bad day there is better than any good day working for someone else.
Yeah.
You know, my husband says I'm very hard-headed, so that's why I work for myself. But, you know, I love it. I do love it. I love
No,
it.
and it just shows you, I think, the passion and the drive that goes into being a small business owner that helps you to do these things with it being this much work. Because
Right.
like you said, like you yes, it's hard and it's a lot of work, but you love it, and
Yeah.
you keep getting up in the morning, you do it
Right.
because of the.
And failure's not an option. And my husband is my partner, I say, in life and in my business. You know, we are a 100% woman-owned, but he supports us so much. He'll come in and sweep the floors. He'll, you know, do whatever needs to be done. And it's amazing to have that support, so.
Well, and it's so important. It's so important because he sees the hard work,
Right.
right? And he sees that this is a passion of yours. So
Right.
that support for you
And
is
his
probably
work, he has the insurance that allows, the health insurance that allows me to do this.
Exactly.
But yeah, hopefully
It's-
the rewards of this are starting to show now.
So how many days a week is the shop open?
It's open 5 days a week.
5
We're
days a week.
closed on Sundays and Mondays.
Sunday, okay, so
But
this-
I always used to work Sundays and Mondays too, but I've started to slow down on
Okay,
that some now, yeah.
Yeah, no, as you enter that growth phase, we've talked with a lot of small business owners. You sort of enter that growth phase. We're like, all right, it's my baby, but I can now start to delegate some of it, and
Yeah.
trust the people I've been working
Right.
with, and begin to give them new responsibilities and grow that way, which is just an amazing process and growth phase that small businesses kind of enter at a certain
Yeah.
point.
It is. I have two young ladies that work for me that went to CIA, and they're amazing. They do an amazing job. And then I have a gentleman that has been with me since he was 15, and he'll be 20 next week, and he's now my front manager, and everyone loves him. Everyone knows him by name. He knows
Fantastic.
what the customers want as soon as they walk in the door, and it's those things that customers appreciate,
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So,
So what is your favorite thing to bake?
everyone says that. It's so,
that's a good question.
and this is weird because we didn't start doing it till later, but dough is very cathartic to make. You just doing it with your hands. It
Right.
is just something very relaxing about that. So I love making cinnamon rolls, things like that. And if I'm not on a time crunch, to be able to decorate a cake and just be creative with it. When someone's waiting or you have a time frame, it's different. But when you're artistic with it and you can do things,
Experiment a little.
it's like doing a Picasso, so to speak. When you can take your time, it's a little different.
I would assume, though, I mean, my wife loves to bake too, right? She loves to cook and bake. And it's interesting because she'll watch a lot of, shows sometimes and bakers, and you just see them working the dough, right? And I say to myself, I bet you they make it look a lot easier than it
Right.
is. But I
A
would
lot of
assume at the
people- and I don't mean
beginning,
this,
you probably
I say-
struggled. That's like,
Right.
this doesn't look right.
Well, I say if I can do it, anyone can, but a lot of people think they can, but they can't. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, I can decorate that," and then I'll say, "Well, let's, if I'm going to hire you, you show me." And
Because something that comes from experience.
right, and I've come a long way too. My first ones were horrendous, but there is a God-given talent I think that people have. My daughter has a master's degree, and she can do it. But my son is a Botech, diesel mechanic guy, and he can decorate a cupcake better than her. And she's probably going to be mad when she sees that, but it's a learned thing for her, and it's just a given for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's just a talent you have or you don't,
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And you can see that on people that have certain talents. It just comes natural to them, right?
My
Like-
husband can build anything, make anything. He's amazing
Yeah.
with that. He can look at something and just build it. I can't do that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm curious, because you mentioned that your favorite thing now is like dough, and you've done the cinnamon rolls, you weren't doing it first. How do you come up with something new that you want to add? Like, what's sort of your process like, oh yeah, let me add this?
My problem is I bake things that I want to eat. So
That's not a problem.
That
That's
doesn't
good.
sound like a problem.
well, that kind of saves me from because people come in and go, "Oh, I'd be 400 pounds if I worked here," but you don't want to eat it all the time when you bake it.
Right.
You want to taste it, but once you're around it all the time, you're like, "Oh, I can't eat one more bite of that." But I don't know. I feel like I have the thumb on what people like. I grew up with Southern gravy covered, butter laden. I don't know. Just that's how we ate.
Comfort food.
Comfort food, yeah, and that's what we make. We feel
Yeah.
like our food is comfort.
No, absolutely. I mean, let's
And it
be
makes
honest.
you happy.
When you have a stressful day or stressful week, a cinnamon roll. Boy,
Well, I hope it makes you happy
That
anyway.
comes
Right,
in very
yeah,
handy, right? Absolutely, no doubt
Oh,
about it.
I've seen the pictures on the website. It would make me happy.
Yeah.
Regardless.
I should have.
That would make
I don't know
me
why I
happy.
didn't bring you all cupcakes. What was I thinking? We'll send you some stuff for
Oh,
sure.
thank you.
I was in a hurry to run out. I was like,
No, you're
yeah.
busy. I'm sure you got up
No,
there
but I
early morning.
usually
and
always bring
make-
stuff. But yeah,
Breads, cakes, cookies.
pies,
Oh,
muffins, danishes, scones.
And so, where are you located exactly?
We are on Jefferson Highway, so 250.
Okay.
Right on the outskirts of Waynesboro.
Okay, all right.
So, just past, when you're coming out of Waynesboro, going towards Stanton.
All right.
on
Oh, right there, okay.
Right there. yeah.
Terrific.
Oh, super easy to
Yeah.
find.
Yes, close to Walmart, Lowe's, right down the road from them.
Super.
So we moved from a Stanton area. We started in an old warehouse there that I knew had this industrial kitchen, and it was
Yeah.
a weird location. People didn't know if we were wholesale or retail, but we kind of made a name for ourselves there. And then this location came about, and it's a good high traffic pattern. People from Crozet come. We have a woman that drives all the way from Quantico to get our keto supplies,
Oh,
or
wow.
keto desserts.
Yeah, yep.
We have a full line of keto products. We had a customer come in one time and she said, "Hey, I love your stuff, but I just can't eat it anymore. I've lost 100 pounds in this new diet." And so I was like, "Hey, tell me more. What is this diet you're talking about?" So we just started baking the stuff for her, and then we never stopped. So we just,
Wow.
we
That's
have,
amazing.
yeah, we have people that come all the time for that. So
It's amazing.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, I
Yeah.
hadn't thought. What do you take out? Remind me then. No keto.
So
is like-
keto is no real flour, no real sugar. So it's almond flour and stevia. So it's also diabetic friendly.
Okay.
So everything we bake is 4 net carbs or less.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
No, it
There's
really
so
is.
many options then for people who,
Yeah, so
who
we-
may
and we-
have, be just
right.
unable to process
Right.
the gluten.
And today we did an egg-free cake. So we do all the dietary restrictions: sugar-free, egg-free, nut-free, gluten-free. We will, handle any dietary restriction.
But it's not free, you gotta pay for it.
Yeah, it's not free 99.
Yeah.
But we do have customers that if, they'll come in and say, "Hey, do you have this?" And we don't, but we want to accommodate if we
course.
can.
Yeah.
And if it's a good idea, we'll make it and we'll add it to our menu. We're happy to, we're not one of those that say, "Well, we can't do that."
Yeah.
We have a lot of different ideas. Cuban, I'd love to know what are some of the Cuban desserts, and is it popular? And, we
I'll
always.
send you on this,
I'll send you a
this.
list.
Yeah.
The cappuccino, there's a small little cake, it's like a cone cake, right? It's called cappuccino, right?
Right.
So it's not the coffee cappuccino. And it's very difficult to make, but I haven't had it. So I used to live in New York,
When
as
was
we
the last
talked
time you
about.
had it?
I must have been, I don't know, I must have been like, 9, 10 years old, because there's only
my
one little
goodness.
place that made it, and since then, they're not there anymore.
No, we
Nobody
make
makes
black
it.
and whites, okay? And of course, I have a big mouth. I stick my foot in my mouth all the time. So this woman came in the other day and she was like, "Oh, you have black and whites?" I'm like, "Yeah." And we hear they're as good as the ones in New York. She's like, "Really?" Because I'm from New York. And I'm like, crap, here we go. And so she was like, "My dad's in the car and he's a New Yorker. Give me 2 of them." So she walks out and then she walks right back in. I'm like, "Oh, this isn't going to be good." And she's like, "Oh my God, they're amazing." And she was like, "Can I have a dozen of them?" And I didn't know this, but certain places in New York do chocolate black and whites, and certain places do vanilla black and whites, and that's how you know what part of New York
I
the
see.
bakery
Yeah,
is from.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But I was like, I just messed up by saying that. So yeah, so we take pride in that.
I'll have to
But
send
I-
you.
You're gonna have to send.
yeah.
You're gonna have to just send the
We'll have
rest.
to try that, yeah, absolutely.
I was like, oh, I opened my mouth too soon. But yeah, so we, someone else asked about those, and we did them. So,
That's fantastic.
and then
Yeah,
I
it really
do
is.
stuff that makes me think about my childhood. My dad is battling dementia.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. It's
Yeah, that's
a
tough.
hard
rough.
thing.
It
Yep.
is, that is, yeah.
So when we were kids, we would drive an hour to the grocery store, and a treat was these oatmeal cookies that Archway made. And they were iced. And so now we recreated them. And we do this iced
okay.
oatmeal cookie that
Yeah,
makes me think
yeah.
about my childhood and
Exactly,
something. It was a
exactly.
treat for us when we were little. So
That
I
is
like stuff like
fantastic.
that.
Yeah, it really
It
is.
is.
That
It
Yeah.
is. It's important. I think it's one of the beauties. I think we see a lot so often. Like part of the beauty of having your own business, particularly in something like this, where you're serving people and producing something close to the heart, is you can share with people those beautiful moments of like
Right.
your history, your things you've dreamed about, things you love. You get to share them with others in a way that they can also enjoy because you're
Right.
you're in charge. Like
And
you're-
and I'm an oversharer probably too sometimes, but life's too short, so why not?
Absolutely,
Let's
yeah.
put it out
Exactly.
there. And that's like the name. A lot of people are like, "Are you Nana?" and are these, do you make her cakes? But my dad, when my daughter was little, called her Sweet Nana Cakes. So I named her after that. I named it after that, so, yeah.
That's a beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
name. I was
Yeah.
going to ask about
It's
that.
funny,
middle
me
name
too.
is-
I was curious as to where the name came
her
from. I
middle
forget.
name is Savannah. So when she was little, he still
okay.
calls her Sweet Nana Cakes, or Nana.
Yeah.
When he sees her, he remembers that it's Nana, so.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's great.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. And you should just tell the impact that you have. I mean, Angela Errett puts 5 hearts.
Oh,
Thank
I
you
love
for
that.
watching, Angela. You just have a lot of people that clearly appreciate what you do and just love Sweet
That
Nana
makes me
Cakes.
happy. That makes me wanna, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, before we let you go, where can people find you, get in touch?
So we are on 250. Our address is 2406 Jefferson Highway in Fishersville, just outside of Waynesboro. We have a website, sweetnanacakes.com. We are redesigning that. We do ship all over the country. The
Fantastic.
keto is is something people order all the time. And then we have an Instagram, Sweet Nana Cakes Bake Shop, and our Facebook page is Sweet Nana Cakes. It's all one word. There is one in Texas that is Sweet Space Nana Space Cakes, and she gets messages all the time from us.
So
She
skip,
messages-
so don't put the
No
spaces in, no
She's like,
spaces.
yeah, she messages me all the time and says, I think this is for you. So,
So just remember, those bases, sweetnanacakes.com,
Right. I'll-
Sweet Nana Cakes on Facebook, and then you can easily
Instagram too,
find
right?
on Instagram as well.
Sweet Nana Cakes
Sweet
Bake Shop
Nana
on
Cakes on
Instagram.
Bake Shop
Yep.
on Instagram, 2406 Jefferson Highway in Waynesboro, Virginia. I gotta read just a couple more before we let you go. Elizabeth Massey says, love Sweet Nana Cakes, and Angela Errett says, love you, girl.
Oh,
So you just have an amazing.
We'll get some cinnamon rolls and some black and white.
yes.
Oh,
There you
we're
are.
going by. We're
We gotta
stopping
try that.
by.
I will have those to you for sure.
Absolutely. Shannon, just
Thank
thank
you
you
guys.
so
I
much.
really
Thank you so
this
much.
is
It's
so
been a
much
lot of fun.
Thank you.
Same here. We'll
Yes,
we'll have
I
you
love
back.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I would love that.
Take care. So as we, and then, like I always tell the guests, you can watch the rest of the show, or if you gotta head to the bakery.
I do. I have
you
cakes
can
I
head to
have to decorate.
Absolutely.
I can imagine.
Thank you.
very much. That
Thank
was
you, Shannon.
awesome.
That was good. Now I got hungry though, that's
I
the
know,
only problem.
that's the challenge. You and I,
Definitely gonna send you all some stuff over. I don't know why. I
Oh,
didn't
thank
have
you.
that.
Oh, don't worry about it.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
And then, so it was live streamed.
Fantastic.
Send it to our page. It was there.
Yep, that we just live streamed, so that's how everyone's been watching and enjoying the show this morning, so it's been fantastic. Yeah, just love bringing on.
Absolutely. You can see
Amazing
the
small
energy,
business
yeah,
owners that
the
just-
energy's there. It's funny, sometimes you talk to people, you just, the aroma of what they talk about, I could just like smell
Yeah.
smell
You
those
just sense it.
cakes
You
and
just
everything.
sense the passion, and
Exactly.
especially with something that like sweets, like you also like.
Something
sense
that
the
we like just a little
deliciousness.
bit, you mean?
Exactly, yeah, we're just, a little bit of fans of sweet things.
Exactly.
So you can really feel it and sense it, to be sure,
That was good.
That was
good.
fantastic.
Absolutely,
So be
absolutely.
sure to check out Sweet Nana Cakes in Waynesboro and online. You can order online.
On the border of Fisherville, right? So it's on Fisherville?
On the
and
border,
so-
yeah, the
exactly.
border of
so I
Fishersville. But
guess in
technically, the address 2406 Jefferson Highway, Suite 108, Waynesboro.
Waynesboro,
Virginia.
very good.
There,
Exactly,
so you can,
yeah.
and you can order
And
online.
the funny thing, I'm sure we've passed it because I know, and
Probably.
many times your mom and I, we've gone through there, as opposed to the 64, we got to go through
Now
town
you just
and.
have to make an intentional
Absolutely,
stop. You have
yeah.
to look for it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I forgot
And
who can
I mean-
complain about that. Not me, that's for sure. That's for sure. And so just wonderful to see this, as we always talk about, like small business is really the backbone of our economy.
Oh, yeah.
And so much of the growth that we hope for comes from small businesses, and we.
And it's interesting, she made a very interesting point, because it's true, a lot of people just assume, oh, you got a small business, you must be really wealthy, right? But they don't realize the amount of work that goes into running a small business, all right? And the amount of work that has to continue to run that small business. Because the one thing about small business is that just one small step where you make a misstep sometimes, your business can go away like that, right? And so you have to be on top of your game. You have to be service-oriented all the time, right?
Exactly.
And there's just a lot of, like you said, and then like she said, there was a lot of, sweat and tears, because,
It goes into it.
who knows how many times you just, something didn't work, and it's like, I got to start all over again, and, that's just more time out of the
Exactly.
day, so.
And like I talk about all the time when I go into a show, profit is value add. Sometimes I think profit gets a dirty name.
Yeah. Yeah.
in this country that profit, that means they just didn't pay their workers enough. And I'm like, no, profit is the compensation for the risk that they're taking. Just like Shannon was saying, if they have a tough time, right, the employees are getting paid.
Exactly.
And she's not.
Yeah.
Right? You get paid last. So yeah, there's going to be times where to compensate that risk when things are great, the small business owner makes it when they're successful. But there's going to be times when, if you work for someone else and their business is losing money, you're still getting paid. Your salary is set in there. It's contractually obligated.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But if you're the small business owner and you've paid out everyone's salary and there's no money left, you're the one who doesn't get paid that much.
That's right. Exactly.
So it's
and
just
that's how it
important
works.
to
And
remember.
you run budgets all the time when you first start a business, and you take a look at a budget and you realize you're not getting paid. You're not getting anything until you grow that business.
Like CIC that have to teach you, like, pay yourself.
No,
You gotta pay
I
yourself.
understand that you want to pay yourself. I'm just saying that you
Sometimes
run the
you
budget and
can't.
realize you can't. In other words, if I pay myself, I can't even grow that business, right? So
Exactly.
the issue is, in order to grow the business, sometimes you have to take those first year or two and say, I have to sacrifice, right?
Exactly.
Get that business going, then you begin to pay yourself, right? But you're right. A lot of times they stop. They don't pay themselves when they should. That's a whole different point. Yeah.
But just shows you the mentality. The mentality of the small business owner is, let me take care of other people, let me service
Yes,
them, let me do
yes.
this. And sometimes they're so into it, they forget even to pay themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's just so key. It's so key. And what will help us get out of challenging times will be small business owners.
It always does. It always
Sure,
does.
It always
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
It's the
as long
growth of the
as,
economy.
and I always say, it's important for this country to recognize that the backbone, what makes this country special, is the small business owner, right?
And to get out of their way.
Exactly. Just get out of the way. Don't put barriers in front of them, more barriers, right? Because it just makes it so much more difficult for them to constantly have to go over those barriers, go around them, and it's a waste of time and money and effort. And the price of entry sometimes is so steep that you sit there and go, I could do a great job, but it's just I just don't have the money to get going. And
Which would be a shame, which is a shame.
Yeah, it is. So.
Absolutely. Speaking of the economy, I know
Like everything else, there's good news and bad news. Obviously the bad news. We've talked about this before. We indicated to quite a few number of people that the numbers we were looking at indicated that the second quarter was going to be a negative quarter, right?
So this is today's news.
So today's news for us,
minus 0.9%,
is not
not a
new
shocker
news.
for us.
Exactly, it's not a shocker at all, right? And I think what I don't like is when you get a lot of people spinning on what that number is. Well, it's really not that bad. And the bottom line is, when you have two negative quarters, you can't spin that into good news, right? So in other words, that information is telling you something, right? And so if you took a look at that first quarter, and remember we talked a little bit about this, right? Is that we have more imports than exports, right? So that detracted from GDP, right? So I said, okay, maybe that's what's happening. Let's take a look at the second quarter. Let's wait to see the second quarter. Well, in the second quarter, that reversed really. So if it reversed, then that second GDP number should have been better. We had a positive 1.43 in the import-export exchange, right? So, but we have a negative. Exactly. So basically, we are looking at a situation where, and it's just, and you could just see it in the numbers, right? The inventory accumulation is down by 50%, right? And what does that tell you? That tells you basically that businesses
have a lot of inventory that they're not selling.
One, they have inventory that maybe they're not selling, but two, they don't have the confidence that the consumer is going to go out there and spend a lot of money. And I think you might have seen this too. You look at the savings rate that we're seeing, that has dropped dramatically, right?
And I think that's the issue, because you sit there, sometimes you'll hear on nationals, and really, we're positive people on Today Mañana, but we also believe in being honest with our audience.
Realistic.
We're not going to try to sugarcoat things and say everything's hunky-dory because we don't want you to feel bad. Like, we want people to be informed about what we're looking at. And the challenge that we've been seeing is, yes, there is still spending going on, but that spending is coming out of people's savings.
That's right. Exactly.
That's the issue.
Exactly.
You no longer have people. Inflation has reached the point where, yes, people still need to spend. Because let's face it, you may have 9% inflation. If you have rent, you still have to pay your rent. You got to live. You have to pay your gas bills, right? You have to whatchamacallit, you gotta pay for your groceries, gotta pay for the clothes on your back, right? If you booked a vacation last year, Judah made this great point on Gary's show last week. If you booked a vacation last year and now prices are high, are you going to lose all your, and you didn't get a vacation insurance, you're really going to say, yeah, let me cancel. I haven't been anywhere since 2020,
Right.
but let me cancel everything because inflation is high. You're going to go through with it and say, I will get the money from somewhere, and that somewhere, for a lot of people, has been their savings.
Their savings, yeah, exactly.
And savings is part of the economic equation. It's part of GDP. And so
Exactly.
when you see savings decline, that pushes down GDP, and that's not a good sign. You don't want people having to pull out of their savings to make ends meet. And that's what we're seeing. So we can look at the retail numbers all we want and say, yeah, no, don't worry, people are still spending. But yeah, you're not spending out of your wages anymore. You're spending because you're draining your 401k, which is a problem. You're draining your 401k in an environment in which your 401k has declined in value by 20, 30%.
That's right, yeah.
So it's not, those are not positive numbers, and it doesn't mean it's the end of the world and
No,
that
no,
we
no,
can't
no.
get through this, but it's important for people to know and say, because you shouldn't be out there saying, oh yeah, don't worry, everything's great, let me take some more risk. Let me take risk because, it's not
Well,
really
the
that
issue-
bad, people are still spending.
Yeah, and so the issue is that you have to take a look at everything that's going on, and you have to say to yourself, well, why is this happening, right? I mean, you look at personal consumption. That's down 50%, right? On average is about 2% personal consumption. It's down to 1%, right? So you realize people are struggling to go out and buy more, whatever. The consumer spends money on items, on goods, right? And you look at this GDP number show that more people spend money on services than goods. And as you mentioned, and part of it is also, I haven't done anything for 2 years. I need to do something. I need something that will make me feel like that I'm living again, right? And so they're willing to spend a little more money on services and goods, right? That begins to detract from the economy, right? And so you sit there and you go, but there's something underlying that is happening here. And you look at the GDP price inflation, it's 8.7%, right? So you say to yourself,
That's another measure of inflation,
without any
GDP
doubt,
price.
right? Inflation has caused this economy, right, to slow down because people are feeling it. They're feeling it in their, when they go buy food, when they go buy gas, when they go buy, just literally anything. I mean, that 8.7 includes services and goods. That GDP price number includes the increase in prices across the board, not just in one particular
Exactly.
thing, right?
Service and good prices.
Exactly.
are up.
So you're sitting there, you're going, it has an impact on people's psyche, consumer psyche, and how they spend. So you can't twist this and say this is, the workforce is, everything's really good, everything's going well. No, the answer is it's not going well. And inflation, without any doubt, has an impact on how people feel and how people spend. Now, on the flip side, we always talk about investing, right? You look at the markets, and the markets are doing extremely well today in particular. I mean, the bond market's booming. The stock markets are up, and why? So you say, well, why
Yeah,
is
you
that
sit there
happening?
and say, how is it
Yeah.
possible that on a day in which we get
So there's a silver lining to
the
everything.
stock market is hovering, it's basically flat right now.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, this morning the futures were up pretty
morning
big.
futures were up. And the reason is because, as we always say, the stock market is a forward-looking instrument. The stock market is telling you what it thinks is going to happen. Today's price of the stock market is reflecting what the market thinks is going to happen in the future, not what has happened in the past.
Well, because they also, let's be honest, I mean, so Powell yesterday kind of gave us somewhat confusing messages, right? On two sides, he was very dovish. In other words, he basically said, with regard to interest rates, that, maybe we're reaching that flat
Yeah,
plateau.
They raised rates again.
They raised rates 75
Those
basis
were
points,
aware.
yes, it's 0.75%, right? But he said, we might be reaching that flat plateau, right? And he also talked about the fact that, the labor situation that he saw was relatively good, right? And on the other hand, he basically talked about how, they want to make sure that they squash inflation, right? So 2 points. One is, what's more important, because let's be honest, I mean, the Fed has become a political figure, right? Whether you like it or not, it's not really a non-political entity anymore.
And I would say it's not even, the issue is it's not an independent entity.
It's not an independent
It should be, I think that's what
which
you're
is
getting at. In other
exactly,
words,
which it should be, but it
should
isn't.
be independent of what the needs of the United States Treasury, but it clearly is not at
Correct,
this point.
correct.
It is.
Well, but not only that, I mean,
connected
you know,
things that go on.
if you are a politician, right, and you're sitting there, what do I prefer, inflation or a recession? You may be facing that option,
That
right?
choice right now.
So that choice. So if you think that the Fed is going to say, yeah, we're going to try to squash inflation, but, you know, he said, we're data dependent. What does that mean? That means that depending on how things go, the data continues to be negative on the economic side, we're going to stop what we're doing because we cannot afford a recession. In other words, we don't want a recession to happen now, right? And you're seeing that. So the stock market, the markets, they see right through this. They say, okay, so basically what you're telling us is if things continue not to look so good, I mean, housing market is horrendous, right? Because interest rates are at 6+% on mortgage rates, so that's really squashed the housing market. The housing market is one of the areas that really make the economy
Finally, I
boom.
think it's bad. They were saying this morning that U.S. pending home sales down 20%, and that it was certain metrics were back to February of 2020 home purchase activity,
Okay.
back to pre-pandemic
Yeah,
levels.
yeah.
So that tells you that little boom that we had there is stabilizing.
It's stabilizing, exactly. So, and that's an area of the economy, we all know, when people buy homes, everything else jumps, right? You gotta buy appliances, you gotta buy broom and a vacuum cleaner, whatever it is. I mean, there's all of a sudden you're buying a lot more things for
Well,
a
a lot
new
of those
home.
durable goods
Yeah, those numbers are down.
orders are down
Big
because
time.
durable goods is like your washing machines, your dryers.
Exactly.
The big
Big appliances,
purchase items,
yeah.
the big appliances, which is also a classic
Yeah.
recession sign, that those go down.
So my
But
point
again-
being is, from a stock market point of view, they're looking at this saying, wait a minute, if we get the feeling that the Fed's going to put on the brakes on raising rates and once again allow liquidity in the marketplace, right? Stock market loves liquidity, right? So it's going to go up. So one side, you're looking at an economy that looks
Shaky.
forward-looking, doesn't look so good, but then all of a sudden, a stock market looks horrendous at the beginning of the year, maybe sitting here saying, hey,
Doesn't look so bad.
Maybe not look so bad from here. So,
Exactly. So I think it goes to show there are opportunities everywhere. And like we always talk about from the perspective, just in reality, like you and I, Merchant Financial Services, we can't magically, get someone a job or help you if recession comes and solve all your problems, right?
Exactly.
The only place that we can help is in terms of budgeting, in terms of planning, and in terms of what do I do with my investments given what is happening? And so all that we can do is reiterate what we often talk about, which is it's about the risk that is appropriate for you.
That's
for
right.
your portfolio, not trying to figure out recession, not recession, do I pull all my money out, do I put all my money back in? In other words, this is a prime example of that, right? Recession is a scary thing, but it's not, that doesn't necessarily follow that, I need to pull all my money out of the stock market right now. Because it may well be that we sit here for the next 2 months with negative GDP, 2 or 3 quarters of negative GDP growth, the economy is shrinking, and the stock market goes up.
exactly.
It's
yeah.
entirely possible
It's
that
possible,
happens.
absolutely. We've
And
seen that
so
happen,
We've
yeah.
seen it happen before. And so all we can do is tell people that's what you need to do is remain steady, you remain in the markets, but you make sure that now is the time to really make sure, if you haven't done it already, if you haven't sat down with the financial advisor, if you haven't looked at your portfolio, is the level of risk that I'm taking appropriate for me? If the answer is yes, do not worry about recession as far as your 401k,
Yeah.
your IRA is concerned. If the answer is no, then even if the market was taking off, you should be adjusting your risk level.
And interesting, I mean, for a year, a lot of people say, gee, your business must be slowing down because the market's going down. And it's kind of the opposite. And it's only because, during bull markets, everybody invests and everybody's
Everybody feels like a
it's like,
genius.
yeah, I'm really good at
I
this,
think
right?
this little
Then all of
company-
a sudden, exactly, or company, or they buy just one ETF or 2 ETFs,
goes
or whatever it
up.
may be. It goes up, they look like heroes, and then all of a sudden, this happens, and their portfolio is down, 45, 50%. And you have no idea how many people call me and say, yeah, I don't know. I think I need help. Somebody take a look at my portfolio and see what they think, right? And we start discussing, and you little by little you realize, their mentality was, oh yes, it's almost like I buy what was up last year. So of course, if it's up 2 years in a row, you're looking great, right? Because I bought it this year, I'm up, 30%. I look great.
It went up one year and then down the next.
Exactly.
You bought at the peak.
Exactly. So we talk about this all the time. Also, it's and you hit it on the nose. It's the amount of risk that you want to take. It's the amount of risk that you should take, right? That's appropriate for you, given your long-term goals, given your short-term goals, whatever those goals may be, right? But also, we talk about it all the time, it's diversification, right? You can't put all your eggs in one basket and say, yeah, I think tech stocks, that's where it is for the future. Techs go up, they go down, value goes up, goes down, growth goes up, goes down. When you have a well-diversified portfolio, right, you have cushions in there. So some things go up, some things may go down, but there's a cushion. And over time, you realize you're achieving your goals because that portfolio is generating over time the return, or maybe a little bit better than that you need, right, that you expected. And that's the goal. And, panicking, it's just the worst thing to do. I mean,
Exactly.
Everywhere I go, we had a dinner yesterday, and the first thing people say, oh, financial advisor, what should I do with my money? It's like, where do you have it? And, well, I have it in the market. Keep it. Stay there. I mean, what are you going to do?
Exactly. I think it's an understandable reaction, right? You see negative GDP growth.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. And then you don't know what to think, but as you see negative GDP growth, then one person, one news channel is telling you this is the end of the world, and the news channel is saying, no, everything's fine, it's not really a recession. So you sit there and go, well, what do I do? This doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
But the key is always to recognize things for what they are, right? In other words, don't put on the rose-colored glasses and say, yeah, now's the time for me to, blow my savings because and go on vacation because the economy's going to be great, or let me put all my money in tech stocks because everything's fine, right? But on the flip side, it's not the time to be, oh my goodness, the world is ending, let me sell all my stocks, because then you may just miss out on the upside that often happens. The stock market is a forward-looking instrument, and it's looking at so many different things.
Exactly. Yeah, and again, that's what we were talking about. It's just disingenuous to look at these 2 quarters and say that this it's not as bad as it looks. I mean, numbers truly don't lie, right? I mean, they may not give you a perfect snapshot of what's going to happen or what's happening, but they don't truly lie. That's like being down 9-0 in a baseball game. Saying, well, you're not really down 9-0. Yeah, we're
really
close. We're almost at even at this point, really. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. Those numbers are telling you something, and what they're telling you is that the American consumer, and you look at the global numbers. I mean, the global numbers came in also this morning. Inflation is literally hitting just about everywhere. Europe is being hit by inflation over 7%. So all that has an impact. So if the rest of the globe also has a very similar inflation that we do, and their energy costs are even higher than ours because it's based on dollar, the dollar is up, right? The demand from abroad is going to go down. So it means your exports are not going to be very strong, right? So when you look at all the numbers, you realize the picture isn't really bright right now, right? That doesn't mean we're going to a depression or anything like that, but it just isn't bright. So you can't say things are fine.
It is part of the business cycle.
Exactly.
It is part of the business cycle. Now, we could argue, did the inflation that we're seeing contribute to this and cause it to come at a time when it wouldn't have? Otherwise, we'll never know, right? I think
the answer is
yes. But
we'll never know. The answer is yes.
Certain, right? But once it happens, the business cycle does have a way to deal with this.
Exactly.
Right? In other words, you get the built-up inventory, you get people not spending, businesses begin to not purchase new inventory, they need to get rid of their stock. Sometimes you see some layoffs, sometimes you see some, but that in itself sets the seeds for future growth. So the business cycle, assuming we don't mess it up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sets the seeds for regeneration. The key is just making sure you don't panic in the midst of what's going on.
And the key is for the government not to step in and try to do something, because whatever they do, they're going to do it wrong, right? I mean,
It hasn't been a great number of things they've done recently.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. We haven't exactly
because
put
they
ourselves
don't,
in a
yeah, they
successful
don't,
position.
I mean, the answer is they're not business people per se, and they don't understand how the economy truly works. Every time there's a bad economy, we got to do this, we got to do that. No. It's part of the cycle. Let it. I mean, just don't do bad things. Right? Don't do things that make it worse. Right.
Exactly.
And the thing that always worries them out is that when they think big in terms of large corporations, that in the end hurt the little mom and pop
Exactly.
shops. Right. And that's what you and I always talk about that.
That's our issue. I think the government's idea of how you solve recessions always like, what can we do to help the big corporations, as opposed to, will this actually just hurt the little guy? Will it just
Exactly.
hurt the small business
Yeah.
owner?
Just get out of the way, let the small businesses do what they have to do, and if they do that, you will see how you get
will
out
see
of
some
this.
growth.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's our mentality.
So like I said, there's in every piece of negative news, there's also a silver lining.
Exactly.
And you and I, like I said, you said that, you and I think positively, and it's like, first and foremost, you don't panic. Things eventually get better.
Exactly. To use your analogy, you can be down 9-0 in a baseball game, and as the New York Yankees showed the Boston Red Sox, you can still win 15-9. I'll never forget that time they did that. So you can be down 9-0, but you got to know you're down 9-0.
Exactly.
You're down 9-0, you go up there and you're like, it's really close. I'm just going to bunt. We're almost winning. All I got to do is bunt with the guy on first. You're not going to come back. If you're down 9-0, you got to try to get some home runs. Let's just put it that way.
Some doubles, home runs.
Some doubles and home
Get
runs.
on
You're not going
base.
to come back from 9-0.
Yeah.
If you think you're only one run down, and all you got to do is bunt the guy over and sit, give up a couple outs. So just
It ain't over till it's over, right?
it ain't over till it's over, and you can always come back and be, which we will.
Yeah.
We will, because there are great people and great small business owners in this economy, great working people. So
And this is America.
and this is America, so we will bounce back from
Exactly.
this. Speaking of small business owners,
Yeah.
just a little heads up: the Vanguard Award from the Minority Business Alliance of the Charlottesville Chamber of Commerce still accepting nominations through August 5th. I
Okay.
mentioned this when
That's
Michael
right.
was on.
That's right.
So anyone that you feel has contributed to business diversity, great small business owners here, feel free to, you can see the criteria at cvillechamber.com/MBA. It's
Okay.
right there, nominate for the Vanguard Award going through August 5th. That award will be presented at the Minority Business Alliance 10th Anniversary Gala on Friday, September 9th in the evening, which you can get tickets for, also by going to cvillechamber.com/MBA. So just a
Terrific.
little small business
It's
news.
one person or one business?
One,
The Vanguard Award
yes,
is for
the
one?
Vanguard Award is
Okay.
one individual or business.
Or business, okay.
So that's the goal there. So that's just a little news.
Sign up.
Sign up. Be sure to do it. A little shout out. Thank you, Christina Montefalco, for watching this morning. Appreciate it. All our guests. And thank you for everyone who commented. Always love to see the support for businesses like Sweet Nana
Absolutely,
Cakes.
yeah.
To be sure. And next week, some more fantastic business owners. We're going to be joined by Matt Page. He's from Life Cycle Organics.
Okay.
As well
Wow.
as by Catherine Niez. I hope I pronounced that right. She is a musician, teacher, and artist, and neighbor is also Puerto Rican. So
Puerto Rican, okay.
So we're going to have some more Latino entrepreneurship, Latina entrepreneurship here on Today Manana, which we love.
Looking forward to it, absolutely.
So that's going to be fantastic. Just really appreciate all our audience today for your kindness, for your support, your encouragement. It's always wonderful to see. Thanks for being on with me.
Thank you. It's always fun.
It's fun. It's always a blast. I love being here on the I Love Seville Network set. We love our partners with Credit Serious Insurance, Aqua Seville Hand Car Wash, Tassel Hill Cider, the Jim Seville, GBS Financial Services, always with Forward Adelante, the premier Latino networking group, always presented by Emergent Financial Services. And just really appreciate Judah behind the camera, all the great work
Always
he does.
doing a great job.
Making us look good, making us sound good. So just always appreciate that work.
No, it's amazing.
It really is.
I kind of watch him, right, just while we're doing this, and all I see is clicking and moving and clicking, and I'm saying, what is he doing? I mean, what is he doing? But obviously, whatever he's doing it right.
Just put it this way, he's not playing a...
He's busy.
He's not playing
I tell you what, he's a lot busier than I am, that's all I know.
He's not sitting there playing Minecraft while we're on camera. He's doing a lot of work making us look good. So always appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Always appreciate our audience. We look forward to seeing all of you next week, where we'll have some more fantastic guests. But until that time, as we always love to say, we wish you a wonderful week, and we say to you, hasta mañana.